The Village People formed in 1977 and became icons of the disco era with their flamboyant personas and catchy tunes. Known for their energetic performances and distinctive costumes representing various stereotypes like the cowboy, construction worker, and police officer, they soared to fame with hits like the YMCA and Macho Man. And despite changing lineups, they left an incredible mark on the era of disco and continue to entertain with their infectious music even to today. Join us as we have a look at the life and career of the Village People. The rise of the Village People. The Village People's rise to stardom began in the vibrant, eclectic heart of New York City's Greenwich Village in the 1970s. The brainchild of French producer Jacques Morali, the group was formed to target disco's growing popularity, particularly within the gay community. Morali, along with his business partner Henri Bololo, sought to create a band that embodied the flamboyant energy of the disco era with an overt nod to gay stereotypes that were both celebratory and tongue-in-cheek. The original lineup of Victor Willis, Felipe Rose, Randy Jones, David Hodo, Glenn Hughes, and Alex Briley was a mosaic of archetypal American machismo and gay fantasy. Each member brought a unique flavor to the group, both in terms of personality and musical talent, and their costumes were not only outfits, but symbols that represented every facet of American masculinity and gay subculture. Their first hit, San Francisco You've Got Me, was released in 1977 and was a modest success, but it was Macho Man in '78 that catapulted them into the limelight. The song, with its catchy tune and easy-to-follow choreography, became an anthem, not only in gay clubs but all across mainstream America. It was a celebration of gay culture and resonated with a wider audience, encapsulating the fun and freedom of the time. The release of YMCA later that year would mark a pinnacle of their success. The song, inspired by the Young Men's Christian Association's reputation as a popular cruising place for gay men, became a worldwide phenomenon. It transcended cultural and linguistic barriers, turning the Village People into international stars. The iconic dance moves associated with the song spelled out the letters YMCA with arm movements and became a dance craze. Their album Cruisin', which included YMCA, went multi-platinum, and the group embarked on a world tour that sold out venues all across the globe. They appeared on television and even starred in their own feature film. However, the film, which was intended to be a celebration of their success, was a commercial and critical flop, signaling a turning point in their careers. As the popularity of disco began to wane in the early 80s, so did their fortunes. The group had tried to adapt to changing musical tastes, even attempting a new wave sound with an album in 1981, but the move would alienate many of their core fans without gaining them a significant new audience. The decline of disco, coupled with the emerging AIDS crisis, which cast a shadow over the gay community, had marked the beginning of a challenging time for the group. But despite it all, their impact on music and culture was incredible. They were more than just a band, they were a phenomenon that represented a pivotal moment in the history of gay rights and music. Their songs continue to be celebrated at parties, weddings, and sporting events worldwide. Behind the glitter, internal conflicts and creative differences. The glittering success of the Village People, with their catchy anthems and larger-than-life personas, concealed the complexities and struggles within the group. Behind the scenes, there were internal conflicts, creative differences, and the pressures of sudden fame. And as the Village People rose to stardom, the creative process began to strain under the weight of their success. The mastermind behind the group's formation had a specific vision for the music and image, and his approach to producing songs that were catchy, danceable, and appealing to both gay and mainstream audiences would sometimes clash with the artistic aspirations of the band members themselves. The group's lead singer, Victor Willis, was a skilled songwriter and felt constrained by the formulaic nature of the hits. He had yearned for more artistic freedom and input in the songwriting process, which led to tensions with their manager. The members of the Village People, each embodying a character, would often grapple with the blurring lines between their stage personas and personal identities. Felipe Rose, who played the Native American, and Randy Jones, who was the cowboy, sometimes felt pigeonholed by their characters. The costumes were initially meant to be playful and empowering, but the group's fame grew. and these personas began to overshadow the individual identities and talents of its members, causing frustration and a sense of loss of self. The Village People were a diverse group, coming from different backgrounds with varying experiences in show business. This diversity would be a strength on stage, but a source of hidden friction offstage. Personalities would clash, there were disagreements over musical direction and finances, and management decisions became more frequent as the group faced the pressures of fame. The unity that had been their strength had begun to show its cracks. With fame came intense scrutiny and a demanding schedule, and the band was constantly on tour, in the studio, or making appearances in the media. The grueling pace had taken its toll on their personal lives and health, as the members struggled with the lack of privacy and the constant expectations to maintain an upbeat and flamboyant persona in public. The stress of being in the limelight had made underlying tensions even worse within the group. The late 1970s and early 80s became a time of legal turmoil for the Village People. Disputes over royalties, contracts, and creative control would lead to legal battles that had drained their energy and resources. The relationship between the band and their management became strained, with accusations of financial mismanagement and lack of transparency. These legal and financial issues had created a wedge between the members and their management team, which further complicated the group's dynamics. As the 1980s went through, the popularity of disco would wane, and they found themselves struggling to adapt to the changing landscape. Their attempts to reinvent their sound and image were met with mixed response from fans and critics, and the internal struggles within the band, combined with external pressures of a shifting industry, would lead to a decline in their popularity and influence. The icons of an era: impact on LGBTQ+ representation and disco. The Village People, beyond their dance floor hits and flamboyant costumes, played a pivotal role in the cultural landscape of the 1970s and 80s, particularly within the LGBTQ+ scene. Their influence extended far beyond the music, shaping social attitudes while becoming icons, and in an age when LGBTQ+ visibility would be limited and often negative, the Village People stood as a beacon of positive representation. Although not all members were openly gay, their embrace of gay culture and stereotypes would be groundbreaking. They offered a bold and unapologetic portrayal of identities through their music and performance, which was revolutionary for the time, and their presence in mainstream media broke down barriers, challenging societal norms while providing visibility for the community in an era of limited representation. The band's characters, a cowboy, a construction worker, a police officer, a Native American, a biker, and a GI, were all hyper-masculine archetypes. The Village People took those symbols of traditional American masculinity and turned them on their head, infusing them with gay iconography. This subversion was both a playful nod to their gay audience and a bold statement about the fluidity of gender and sexual identity. It was a nuanced approach that had allowed them to connect with a wide range of audiences, from the gay community to mainstream America. Their music was at the heartbeat of the disco era. Songs with catchy hooks and infectious rhythms became staples in nightclubs around the world. They captured the essence of disco, a genre that was all about escapism, celebration, and the freedom to express oneself. Songs like YMCA and Macho Man became anthems, transcending the boundaries of the gay community to become part of a global popular culture. Disco was more than just a musical genre, it was a cultural movement, and the Village People were at its forefront. They had embodied the extravagance and energy of disco, influencing fashion, dance, and nightlife, and their performances were not only concerts but spectacles of color, movement, and energy. They helped to shape the ethos of the disco culture, which was all about inclusivity, freedom, and joy. Their impact extends well beyond entertainment. They became symbols of societal change during a time when the gay rights movement was gaining momentum. Their visibility and success provided hope and inspiration to a marginalized community. They showed that it was possible to be associated with gay culture and be celebrated on a global stage at the same time. However, their portrayal of stereotypes was also a double-edged sword. While they had brought visibility to the community, some had criticized them for reinforcing simplistic and sometimes problematic stereotypes. This criticism reflected the complex relationship between representation and identity, especially at a time when any representation would be a step forward. Today, they're remembered not only for their music, but for their role in shaping cultural attitudes towards the LGBTQ+ community and the disco culture. Their songs continue to be celebrated and remixed, and their influence can be seen in the work of contemporary artists today. Troubles in Paradise, legal battles and management issues. Behind the music, the group faced a series of trials that tested their unity and resilience. Legal battles, management issues, and personal struggles had marked a tough period for these icons of the disco era. And as their popularity would soar, so did the complexity of their legal and contractual agreements. Disputes over royalties, songwriting credits, and contractual obligations became increasingly common. Several of the members felt that they were not being paid fairly for their contributions, which led to internal strife and legal action. These battles were not only about money, they were about recognition and respect for their contributions to the band. The legal wrangling had taken a toll on the group's morale and cohesion, casting a shadow over their success. The relationship between the Village People and their management was fraught with tension. Accusations of being mismanaged and financial improprieties would come to light, creating distrust within the group. The band's members were initially united in their vision and began to feel exploited by the very people who were supposed to be advocating for their interests. This would lead to a power struggle between the band and management, further making the terms worse on an already strained relationship. The early 1980s saw a significant shift in musical tastes, and with disco's popularity waning in favor of new genres like new wave and punk, they attempted to adapt by experimenting with different styles, but the efforts were met with mixed reviews. The members of the Village People had also faced personal struggles that impacted the group's dynamic. The pressures of fame, the rigorous touring, and the constant public scrutiny led to stress and exhaustion. Some members were dealing with health issues, while others struggled with their own personal relationships. These personal challenges, combined by the professional pressures they faced, created a volatile environment that threatened the group's stability. Amidst everything, key members of the Village People began to leave the group. These departures were a significant blow to the band, both artistically and emotionally. Each member had not only brought a unique persona, but it also contributed to the creative process and the group dynamic. The departure of these members would signal a change in the history of the Village People, marking the ending of an era for the band. The Village People's meteoric rise to fame would be difficult to sustain, but they navigated these troubles, and the bond that had once held them together as a groundbreaking act began to weaken, and their future became uncertain. Despite all of the challenges, the Village People demonstrated remarkable resilience, continuing to perform and release music, even as they navigated the complexities of their own situation. The struggles they faced during this period of their career are the integral part of their story, illustrating the difficulties that are often encountered by artists at the height of their own fame. Personal struggles and tragedies, the untold stories of the members. As the group's lead singer and key songwriter, Victor Willis was at the forefront of the Village People's success. However, he also faced significant personal challenge. His relationship with management and other group members, fueled by creative differences, led to his departure from the band in 1980. Beyond the professional realm, he had struggled with substance abuse, a battle that would become public in the years that followed his leaving the group. Felipe Rose, known for his portrayal of the Native American, faced his own set of challenges. His heritage and identity were an integral part of his persona in the group, but it was also bringing a sense of responsibility and pressure. He had grappled with the portrayal of his character, striving to honor his heritage while also navigating stereotypes often associated with it. This struggle for identity became a constant undercurrent all throughout his time with the band. Randy Jones, the cowboy of the group, had experienced highs and lows both during and after his time with the Village People. Jones was open about his sexuality and became an icon in the gay community. However, he also faced challenges that came with being a public figure in a time of limited acceptance. Glenn Hughes, who portrayed the biker, faced significant health issues. His battle with lung cancer, which he fought bravely and publicly, highlighted the human side of a larger-than-life persona that the Village People represented. His struggles and eventual passing in 2001 would be a sobering reminder of the fragility of life, even for those who seem to be invincible on stage. David Hodo and Alex Briley, while perhaps facing less publicized personal struggles, also navigated the complexities of fame and identity. The constant spotlight and need to maintain their public personas would clash with their personal lives, which led to a balancing act between public expectation and personal authenticity. The 1980s also brought upon them the AIDS crisis, which had deeply affected the LGBTQ+ community. The Village People, as icons within the community, felt the impact of the epidemic both personally and professionally. The crisis cast a shadow over the era, and the members themselves, like many others, had faced the loss of friends and loved ones. It brought a sense of urgency to their roles as public figures within the gay community. But despite all the struggles, they demonstrated remarkable resilience, continuing to perform while engaging with fans and using their platform to bring joy and escapism to audiences worldwide. Legacy and reunion. Where are they now? The story of the Village People extends beyond their heyday in the disco era. The legacy they left and their sporadic reunions paint a picture of endurance, transformation, and the timeless appeal of their music. Their influence on music, pop culture, and media cannot be overstated. They were not only a band, they were a phenomenon that transcended everything. Their songs brimmed with energy and joy, and they've become timeless classics that continue to resonate with audiences of all ages. Their portrayal of diverse characters and their unapologetic embrace of gay culture was groundbreaking for the time and has since been recognized as pioneering steps towards greater acceptance and representation in the media. Their impact would go beyond the confines of disco. They became a part of a cultural lexicon, with songs like YMCA and Macho Man becoming anthems for generations. Their music has been featured in movies, television, and commercials, cementing their status as icons of an era. Over the years, various versions of the Village People have reunited for tours and special performances. They were not only nostalgic trips down memory lane, but a reaffirmation of their enduring appeal. The members, sometimes joined by new faces, came together to celebrate the music that had made them famous, while reconnecting with fans who had remained loyal over the decades. A significant moment in the group's later history would be the return of original lead singer Victor Willis. His comeback would mark a new chapter for the Village People, bringing renewed energy and authenticity to their performances. Under his leadership, the group revisited their classic hits while exploring new directions, demonstrating an ability to evolve while staying true to their roots. Each member of the Village People contributed to the group's legacy in their own unique way. After leaving the group, many had pursued individual projects, exploring different artistic avenues while continuing to impact the entertainment industry. In the modern era, the Village People's music has found resonance with new audiences, often in unexpected ways. Their songs have been remixed, sampled, and covered by contemporary artists, introducing their sound to a younger generation. Their influence is evident in the work of modern musicians who draw inspiration from their style, energy, and unabashed celebration of identity. The ongoing appeal of the Village People can be partly attributed to the power of nostalgia. For many, their music evokes memories of a bygone era, characterized by freedom, flamboyance, and fun, and their reunions and continued presence in the industry offer a bridge between the past and the present, allowing fans to relive the magic of disco while introducing their sound to a new audience. Beyond entertainment, the members of the Village People have used their platform for activism and advocacy, particularly in support of LGBTQ+ rights and HIV/AIDS awareness. Their status as cultural icons have given them a powerful voice in these discussions, allowing them to contribute to important social and cultural conversations long after their peak in the era. The cultural impact and revival of disco. The Village People played a pivotal role in the cultural landscape, particularly in the revival and enduring influence of disco. Disco had often been dismissed as a fleeting genre of dance music, when in fact it was a significant cultural movement. It became a space for freedom, expression, and escape, particularly for marginalized communities, including LGBTQ+ and African Americans. The Village People, as one of the most iconic groups of the time, were central to the phenomenon. Their music and personas had represented a celebration of diversity and inclusivity, making them much more than just a band. They were symbols of a movement. Their rise would coincide with a critical time in the gay liberation movement. An unabashed expression of gay culture, wrapped in the infectious joy of disco music, had provided a sense of representation and belonging. And for many in the community and other minority groups, their sound and music were a source of strength and unity, offering a rare sense of visibility and acceptance into mainstream culture. In the 21st century, there's been a notable revival of interest in disco music and culture. This resurgence is partly fueled by a wave of nostalgia, but also reflects a renewed appreciation of the genre's cultural significance. The Village People, with their timeless hits and enduring appeal, have played a key role in this revival, and their music has been rediscovered by a brand new generation, often in the context of LGBTQ+ pride and cultural celebrations. The Village People's influence extends into modern music and pop culture, and their style, personas, and elements of disco can be seen all throughout modern-day music, art, and fashion. Their occasional reunions and performances, often at retro music festivals or pride events, have played a role in reinventing disco for the modern audience. These performances are not only nostalgic acts, but are reinterpretations of the music and their personas, resonating with both those who lived through the disco era and those who experience it for the first time. In the digital age, social media and streaming platforms have facilitated a rediscovery of their music. Playlists, remixes, and online communities dedicated to disco and 70s culture have helped to maintain the group's relevance, allowing their music to reach a brand new global audience.